Hi, in today's video we're going to look at easy run paces within your interval runs. Now this is a really interesting topic that basically came about from a slightly tongue-in-cheek kind of comment from a few friends of mine at running club recently. So I hadn't been to my running club for a long time through various different injuries and then changing clubs. My first interval session back and I was quite nervous, but you know, wanted to give it a good go and work quite hard at it. So we went out and we did a 200 metre sub 5k pace section followed by 200 metre jog, and then into 400 5k pace recovery, 800 at 10k pace and recovery again. So we're doing some loops. Really good session, really enjoyed it, and great to be back amongst runners as well. The interesting thing was though that I was taking it quite comfortably in the first couple of reps because I hadn't done much kind of speed work for a while, and obviously loads of people went flying past because 3k pace or sub 5k pace should be very quick, and this is a group of quick runners. You know, I was holding back from that, so absolutely no, I was running marathon pace. They're going to come past. That was cool, made sense. The surprising thing though was that once we hit that 200 metre mark, I went past every single one of them. Now that's not to show off, but what I'm trying to say is that people are often running far too slow. So the tongue-in-cheek comment was, oh, you might be doing easy pace. Yeah, absolutely. But I was actually doing slower than my easy run pace. So easy run pace, typically speaking, and there were variations of this, should be kind of your marathon pace plus around about a minute per mile, give or take, 45 seconds to 60 seconds per mile. The other idea of doing it is 5k pace plus around about 90 seconds to 2 minutes per mile, depending on what your 5k pace is. The quicker you are, the shorter that or the smaller that gap should be. So I was running, typically easy run pace is 6:40. I was running around about 7:10, 7:15 in that 200 metre section onwards and still went past everyone. So everyone seemed to kind of hit that 200 and just can't stop. So there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but I think this is where a lot of people kind of miss the trick in that they run far too hard during the intervals, during the hard work sections, and then far too easy during the other parts of it. So we end up with this big spike in heart rate and drop back down. Now, in theory, we end up with that spike in heart rate, but often the reps are too short. A lot of clubs, and you see this in a lot of training plans, are doing 1 minute and 2 minute repetitions because they're fun, they're fast, and it makes people feel good. Most people don't need to run quicker in order to run faster in their race distances. What they need to do is do longer repetitions. These short repetitions aren't enough really to stimulate the anaerobic system and to build up that lactate threshold and push your body very, very hard in that respect. So they're not forcing much adaptation, in fairness. They force some physiological adaptation. So your muscles and your nerves have to change. They have to be able to conduct much more rapidly, recruit more motor units to be able to run and they hit these hard paces. But we don't need to run your 5k pace in sessions much to be able to run a 5k pace quicker. Often what we need to do is maybe run around about that 5k pace, certainly nothing really quicker to be able to, but run it longer. You know, doing 1 kilometre reps rather than these 1-2 minute reps, which don't really add a lot of value. They are fun and training should be fun as well, but often people aren't running those. So when they're running very, very fast and then they're slowing right down, almost stopping, they're getting not a lot really from it. So an overall higher heart rate with slightly longer repetitions, but also slightly quicker, easy run paces is going to give you a much, much bigger benefit. I experimented with this a little bit last year and really saw the benefits. My body being a bit weird, having hypermobility and scoliosis, doesn't like that force too much. So again, I have to be slightly careful with how much I do that. But the fitness gains were huge, and I got to the fastest 5k, 10ks that I've ever run, and was running them without actually doing that much of that type of work. Just one really, really hard session per week. Some other stuff in there as well, strength training, but not tons. So I think the really key thing is when you're doing your easy run paces or your recovery paces within your interval session, do really take that at the right pace. Don't just stop. If you're running and you need to almost stop and you're dropping off, 2 minutes off of your marathon pace rather than 1 minute, then you're running too fast. That is not your 5k pace. And we see it time and time again at my old club, at my current club. People run far too hard. They are not running their 5k pace. They're running 10, 15, 20 seconds more faster, which doesn't really benefit you that much. It increases your risk of injury, certainly. But it's hard to do, the coaches are doing everything they can, but there's a group of 30, 40 people, sometimes it's near on impossible to hold everyone. You don't know what their paces are, they don't know what their goals are, so you can never get that 100% right. So it is on the runners themselves to make sure they're holding themselves accountable to the correct paces in the work rates, but also in the recoveries. Those jog recoveries should be a jog, they shouldn't be an almost walk shuffle, especially for very, very high standard runners. You should be pushing and moving actually still at quite a considerable speed. So yeah, that's my thought on it anyway. Again, I've seen that in the coaching when I was head coach of a club and now as a member of a different club instead. And with the people I've coached over the years who aren't members of clubs, the same thing applies. Often they run far too hard, thinking, great, I'm getting the benefits, and they slow down far too much in their easy sections. I think this is a lot of the reason that people have injuries and kind of get problems and aches and pains, is that they're not recovering appropriately because they're pushing far too hard and they're needing that awkward movement. So when you jog very, very slowly, you move kind of awkwardly. So I think keeping a more natural rhythm, natural movement pattern without those high force of very, very, very fast running, which is too quick, can make a big difference. So lesson is run to correct paces during the session, and also run to a good recovery pace where you're still challenging your body. You are recovering, you're still dropping that heart rate down, breathing rate's coming back down, but you're not taking it too easy that you're moving awkwardly and more likely to do harm than good. See you soon.